All right, hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be started on something new today. I've been doing this camper project for a while, but I have a few other projects I have in mind that it's going to be more around the property, just some landscape type projects. And I have some ideas that I want to do, and I want to challenge myself and figure out how to bend wood with steam. So today we're going to be building a steam box, and some of the projects require pretty long boards to steam, so I'm going to have at least 10-foot boards or so. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use the 14-foot box that I'm going to make out of some scrap lumber that I have. I have these 14-foot 2x6s that I have left over from my fence build, so I'm going to be using those as kind of the base. But we're going to be using some scrap wood around the barn here, and we're going to be just building it together today on this rainy day. Okay, so we got the two 2x6s here, the 14 feet long. So they're about 5.5 inches wide, maybe a little less. And so these are going to be the top and the bottom of the box. And so we're going to make the sides. I have some plywood, 1/2-inch plywood, and I want to make the box basically square, maybe a little bit taller than square. So my plan is to put some dowels in here to have 2 racks, so basically a shelf at maybe 1.5 inches, another one somewhere around like 4.5 or so, and so I can lay some boards on it on like the bottom shelf that's still about 1 inch off the bottom, and then the top shelf that has, I just want space all around when I put like a 1x4 or something kind of size in here. So I think I'm going to make the inside 6 inches, and then, you know, I got to count for the thickness of this, so it's another 3 inches, so 1.5 inches top and bottom. So I'm going to rip down some plywood to make it 9 inches wide, and then we're going to start attaching them. So let's go rip the plywood down on the table saw, and then go from there. Okay, now that I've got this is the first board. I've got 2 of them here, and I'm laying them out nice and even. So they're going to be the 2 sides, and I've labeled them 1 on the outside of this one and the outside of the other one. So that way I know this is the first one. I'm going to be, I don't have, you know, a 14-foot long piece of plywood, obviously, so there's going to be pieces of them put together. I just want to be sure I put them in order correctly, because I'm going to put the drill through both sides at one time with the drill. So right now these are 9 inches tall. And you know, the first 1.5 inches is going to be the you know, the 2x6 on the bottom. The 1.5 inches on the top is the 2x6 on the top. So really what we're talking is right here is the gap. And so I want to have about 1.5 inches, I'm thinking, of space on the bottom. So that'll put me at 3 for the peg. Then I'll have a 2-inch space to put a board on top of that. And give some space above it. So then another one at 5, and then let's say, you know, give a space on top. If I have a 1 inch or 1.5 inch piece, that gives me another inch or so, 1 inch or 1.5 inches above it. So I think that'll be good. I'll have a peg at 3 and 5, and that'll give me enough space, you know, above it. And if I wanted a thicker piece, maybe I put it on the top shelf, something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark at these locations, probably every foot or so, maybe foot and a half. Okay, so I've got most of the dowels cut, and they are 3/8 dowels. These are just what I had laying around. I had 3 sticks of it for some reason. but I wouldn't go much smaller than this. Seems like this is good and stiff size. Any smaller you might get a little bit flimsier. I've seen a lot of other people do it larger, but 3/8, and I cut it to the outside width, and just drilled 3/8 holes through it, you know, that I drilled earlier. So I want it to be a pretty snug fit, because I'm not going to glue it. I'm not going to glue it together, because with the steam in here, this box is going to expand and contract. I almost said conspand. Expand and contract. So you want to have room for that to kind of move a little bit. And with this tight fit, you're not going to have a lot of steam escape. We're likely going to have some steam escape through the joints in the side walls here that, you know, I don't have that full run. So you'll have some go through there, but you know, you kind of want it, you don't want it to build up pressure anyway, so I think that'll work out. So I'm going to go ahead and start just hammering these in all down the line, and then we'll put the top piece on, clamp it, and then screw it in. Okay, so now I've got the box flipped over on the bottom, and I'm going to put some legs on it. So I'm going to raise it off the ground a few feet, and just so it makes it easier, so I don't have to bend down to get to it. And I could also put the steam, mechanism underneath this box. So we're going to do the legs. I just have another piece of pallet wood. This is like the support pieces under the pallets. So I just cut it to length, the full length here. We're going to screw it in, and then we're going to put a leg, like this on one side and then on the other. So we're gonna go ahead and get this screwed in. After I get a new battery. This is the front door, and I've made it the same as the back pretty much, with the weather stripping that I had. And I put a screw in the bottom. That's going to be kind of your handle, but also when you want to close it, you just screw it into the wood. I think that's the quickest and easiest way I could think of. So nothing fancy with this front door. I have an old hinge that took off something else, but I'm going to mount it. And this door is kind of thin to screw into the side of, but I kind of want to squish it in a little bit, so when it closes, it's kind of compressing the weather stripping. So I'm going to lay it where I want it, and then drill a hole. I have this kind of hinge center. It like centers the drill bit in the hinge hole. There's the door, and again I'll just screw that screw closed, and that'll close the door in. Okay, so the box is basically done, and now I have to add the steam. So the steam generator is going to be this Wagner 725 wallpaper steamer, and it has a hose on the other end that's supposed to go to this plate. I don't know if you could see that really well, but it's threaded in there, and actually the steam there's an inner tube inside this, and the steam, it comes out this kind of small hole. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I get this to be up into the box? And what I did find was this, like a fitting for air compressor, fits right in there and screws in. So it's all the same thread, and it's the same diameter hole as what's the inner tube, so it's not like it's constricting the steam either. And so what I did was take that and this diameter here on the on the shaft here is 7/16, and this is just a spare block of wood, and drilled a hole where it barely fits in there pretty hard, and the steam would come out of this hole that would be inside the box. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around for this video. Quick recap, pretty massive steam box here. It's a 14-foot long box with 2x6s on the top and bottom. We got plywood on the sides, pallet wood for the legs, and then the same plywood for the plug in the back and then the door in the front. I am going to kind of widen these legs a little bit. It seems to kind of want to tip over if you run into it a little bit, so I'm going to add some kickers on the side here shortly. But we also drilled that 7/16 inch hole in the bottom, and I was able to put that air fitting up under there, kind of hammered it in, nice tight fit, so that way that Wagner steam generator can screw in and off when I'm moving this around. I did not make the legs in the back shorter. I know a lot of people do that. Because of the size of this thing, I'm going to be kind of sticking it out of the barn here a little bit for these projects. And that's a nice, 1.5 to 2 foot of fall. And so that's going to, create that elevation difference between the back and the front. I did drill a 1/4 inch hole in the very back. That's going to have any steam, water that collects, and it can drip out the back. So I think that's about it. Fairly simple project. Stick around for future projects where we're going to be putting this to use. I have some few things in the yard, kind of arbors and things I want to use to bend wood with. And I want to use this to bend the wood, and I just want to experiment, see what we can do, and learn as we go on this. So appreciate you sticking around, and I'll see you on the next one.